Hey everybody, Brent here. Welcome back to another King's Indian Attack run video. We're playing against D5 again, so this will be fun. I'm recording a lot of these games in rapid succession here. I have a tournament this weekend coming up in just a few days, so I want to get at least the rest of the tournament kind of done and cared for. So we're playing against bishop g4, which is a little bit of a different variation. Normally we've seen moves like bishop to f5, but bishop g4 is a very respectable move in its own right. I'm liking the move c4. Yeah, let's play c4. What I'm doing with c4 is trying to argue that this bishop is actually badly placed, because I might have queen to b3 in my future. All right, so I'm just gonna, there's two ways to take actually. There's check and then takes, and then there's pawn takes. I don't think I've done this many times, but I'm gonna try to actually keep queens on the board. I'm gonna give a check, and I'm gonna take the pawn like this. The idea here is I'm trying to provoke a potential weakness, and I'm also trying to keep queens on. This is a very effective way to play. Nothing wrong with it. Yeah, I think this might help. Oh, okay. Their idea is that they have knight e5, but I don't know if it works. Because do I or do I not have queen b5 check at the end? Or not at the end, but in this exact position. So they end up not doing knight e5, and I think that's correct. I'm just going to move my bishop back. Thank them for the pair of the bishops. The bishop here. And continue on in this position. I could have taken on c6 as well. I think that's very principled, and it does win a pawn. So maybe in a few moves, if they don't really address the issue, then I'll do it. Probably should have done it immediately. My bad. All right, let's just keep developing. Knight c3. Do I have to worry about any queen traps here, actually? Uh-oh. b5? If I play knight c3, then b5 traps my queen, doesn't it? I can't go to c5, c6, or c7. That's a crazy queen trap. Okay. So let's just not allow that. Let's play do I play e3? How do I cover this pawn, then? Yeah, let's play e3. b5, then I have queen c3, and I'm okay. If they want to waste a lot of time to get my c1 bishop, go for it. Just go for it. But I do have to be a little careful. Ooh! Oh, okay. No, I was thinking b5, queen c3, knight e2 check wins the queen. But luckily b5, this queen takes d4. Woo! I was scared for my life. But I'm okay. Knight e2 check, king h1. There's no more b5, I can take it. Phew! Oh my gosh. I was going crazy there. I was scared for my life. Wow. That's some crazy stuff. Yeah, so they're going in. I assume they want the bishop. Yes, they want the bishop. I'll take with this rook. It's not like there's another rook I can take with at the moment. So that's fair. The king is actually really badly placed on h1 because knight g4 stuff and everything. Normally I would go for development here, but I actually feel like king g1 is such a useful move that I'm just going to take time to play it. All right, so queen c7. Let's play d4. And I'll play knight c3 next. I feel like we have a pretty good position. Our bishop is looking better than theirs. We also have threats of like knight b5 at some point. Like if they play b5, we can just take it. Obviously, they wouldn't play b5. It doesn't really make sense in this type of position. h6 looks reasonable. I like b4 here. Should I start with rook b1? No, I should not. I should just go b4. b4, my idea is to play b5 and weaken this long diagonal. It's what you call a minority attack. Very effective strategy. But also not as effective as some people make it out to be. Like it's a good strategy, but just generally it feels like there's more to do in a position than just this. So, but hey, if a offer to play a position like this is presented, then we should definitely consider it. If okay, d5. How do they deal with d5? Knight takes d5, knight takes d5. I don't think they can deal with d5 actually. Because the thing is, they can't take it because at the end of the day, first off, there's bishop takes and there's queen takes. So I think d5 actually causes some problems. Trying to take on c6. And hey, if they're putting pressure on the d-pawn here, then I think d5 makes more sense than something like taking. Because then they can take and they get out of that pin. So b5 feels a little bit less important. So, like right now we have this threat of just taking on c6, and I feel like that's extremely powerful because that'll just win the pawn. If they end up playing something like rook c8, I might just keep adding onto the pressure with something like e4, maybe. e4, it does block out our bishop though. So that is one thing to keep in mind. That's a little bit less tempting because of that. Maybe if they play rook c8, we just take. Yeah. Taking looks good. Because after takes, I'm looking at a quiet move like a3. But also, I have bishop h3. Like, I wanted to play bishop h3 earlier. In that line. So if we look at this, rook c8 takes bishop h3. Looks quite good. The rook would have to move somewhere a little awkward. But my b-pawn wants to be defended, and it's not right now. So that makes things tricky. Okay. So the thing is, I don't know if they're planning to take on b4, but if I take on c6 and they take on b4, that's a huge mistake. So I'm going to take on c6, and if they take on b4, we'll trade queens, and then I'll take on b7, and this is completely winning. Yeah, so they take back, and now I'm looking at moves like a3. I don't really care too much about either a5 or like taking on c6. I much rather would take this pawn for everything I can. Yeah, so they end up playing there. Now I'm thinking of rerouting my knight to c5. Just make things extra annoying. I don't really care about taking the pawn. It's more so that the pawn is limiting their options here, right? Rook d1 looks like a good move to throw in because they can't take it because my knight is defending. Knight to d5 looks like we can take that. We would go up just one pawn. I don't know if that's worth it. Okay. So there's e4, there's knight a4. Let's go knight a4. If ever knight d5, I just go knight c5. I'm not really too worried about that. And yeah, we're just adding up the pressure. Ooh. Gonna adjust here. These positions I'm really not great at playing, by the way. So excuse me if I'm not really playing them with the most accuracy. So I could definitely consider bishop h3 here. I like bishop h3 quite a bit. I don't think the bishop matters as much now. So let's play it. And they move out of the way. Do I end up taking? Knight to c5 doesn't really look too pleasant. Let's just go rook to c1. Threaten to take the c-pawn. Because now we'll be taking it for no compensation. If they end up playing knight b6, then I could take it. A takes. Okay, so they don't end up doing that anyways. So now it looks like we should just take this c-pawn, right? This feels correct. Yeah, let's take it. Are there any tactics? I don't think so. They should probably move their knight now because, you know, it is being threatened. Knight to b6 looks logical. All right, so I'll take. And do I take here or not? I think I should, right? It's just the pawn. Yep, looks like a pawn. So they should probably play rook a8 here. And then I try pushing. So bishop f1, yeah, I don't think this move worked, rook d1, because now I can get my rook to a6 and start pushing my b-pawn as well. Yeah, they had to go rook a8 specifically, because my bishop was not on g2 at the moment, so that was the way to punish it. So let's play b5 to start, and then I'll play a4, and we can shuffle and get our pieces up. This looks winning. Might take a little bit of time and technique, but objectively this should be a win. So b6 time. I might play rook a7 first. Yeah, let's play rook a7. I don't know if they're planning some sort of like rook a2, bishop e1, but I just don't see it being enough, even if I let them take. I think the problem is that this pawn's just too quick. Like, how do they stop b7 here? They can maybe stop some stuff with bishop e5, but that's about it. Other than that, my pawn's getting to a6 and b7 here. Should I just go here? No. Actually, Yeah, let's go rook d7. And my idea is bishop c5, rook d5. And then I can push my a-pawn. And I have a nasty trap set. Okay, so they didn't fall for the trap, but there was a nasty idea there. I don't even want to spoil it. It was so good. Okay, so they missed that. My bishop was covering that, which is good. I'll show the tactical idea afterwards. It looks like we have time to show it. Cool. Okay, so because of all the complications that happened, maybe the best thing to do here was just take on c6. This has got to be winning. Yeah, bishop takes c6 is best. Okay. It just felt like, why did we have to do this? But the thing is, there's no imbalances, and sure, they have a knight on d5 or something. It doesn't really matter, I think. Their structure is worse than ours, plus we're up a pawn. I think something like this looks good. Yeah. Looks winning. Okay. So bishop g2, knight d4, and again, yeah, I was worried here. Knight c3, b5. Oh, why didn't I consider knight takes b5? For some reason, I thought I had to move my queen. But yeah, there's knight takes b5. Any other move loses the queen, unfortunately. Even, well, there's not really another move here anyways. Like, yeah. But this is what I was worried about. But knight takes b5 does hold. But it's also not really something we want to allow anyways. Yeah, so I ended up playing e3, but that also kind of confirms that I really should have taken. So this position still ended up being pretty good for us. King g1 felt natural and is one of the better moves in this position. d4, knight c3, and this b4, b5 felt correct. I was expecting a6 here actually, and the thing you do here is you kind of just like double down and just say, hey, I'm playing b5 no matter what. So you got to let me do it. And yeah, this is how it should go. But they played e5, and I think, yeah, this makes either b5 or d5 stronger. But of course, d5 is the better move of the two. And yeah, now they start running into issues a little bit. And this is completely winning at this point, which is good. So I should have gone b5 here. And I missed... So I saw this, where the knight is attacking the queen. But I actually, funnily enough, missed that a8 is now hanging. So this would have been really strong. So that's unfortunate. But that's okay. These things happen. We still have a pretty good position after a3, rook ac8, rook d1. So knight a4 to c5 wasn't correct, though. Instead, we should have considered trading everything on the d-file and go into a position without rooks. And that makes a lot of sense. Like if... Well, they actually have to take with their queen here, yeah? Because if they take with the rook, then they lose c6. Do they lose c6? Let's just say we take it. Takes, rook c8. b5. I thought there was maybe a6, but there's always a4. So, no, we're not actually losing anything here, luckily. Plus, we have like knight d5 coming up. So, we can save the day. Keep that pawn. But this wasn't really the most effective strategy here. Even though we won the pawn. I was kind of expecting some sort of like a5 now. But that's not really what happened. But then we went 2 pawns up. And again here, I think rook a8 is the better chance. It looks like we have a very good position though. Anyways, so after bishop g2, rook takes, rook b8 check, king h7, bishop e4, g6. And then we can start pushing. Interesting. And this is apparently winning, which wasn't immediately obvious to me, because they do have... Oh, it's because they don't have bishop e5 or anything as well. So their bishop has to move somewhere really awkward, and it's going to take way too much time. By the time we get to b7, we'll probably be winning the game anyways. So that's a really interesting note. But again, guys, one lesson to learn from this is generally in these types of positions, if you can just simplify down and just be up a pawn in a pretty much symmetrical pawn structure like this, these games are like kind of a dream scenario in any chess game where you're a pawn up, very, very simple position. You just keep playing, and eventually that pawn just like... It's not even just the fact that it's objectively better, but it's like psychologically like, hey, you're down a pawn, by the way. And that makes them play a little bit riskier, and as long as you play okay, then it's just winning by this point. So that's going to cover it for this game. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.